meet again, Captain Cola. As you doubtless recall, I am David Destroyal Cola, Destroyal Cola for short. I have concocted a radical plan more evil than any plan ever devised before. I shall steal all of your cola and destroy it in a great explosion!
Great cola cans! A world without my cola is a world scarcely worth living in at all. Unfortunately for you, I have prepared myself for a scenario such as this one. Soda Squad, I implore you to do as you were trained to.
May I present to you a film? The supreme goodness of Diet Dr. Cola is so powerful that even a mere recording of a Diet Dr. Cola can is severely weakening my evil!
Then perhaps the sight of a real Diet Dr. Cola can will destroy even more of your evil.
Zones! It is indeed doing just that! But fortunately, it is distant enough from myself, so that it still shall be no match for me!
Very doubtful. You see, with my video game remote, I can control the cola can in order to do whatever I please.
I can no longer destroy all the cola. I've been forsaken. Farewell, evil plots. What shall become of me?
You shall be brought to prison alongside all others who dislike Diet Dr. Cola. Meanwhile, all of us who like Diet Dr. Cola shall live long lives of satisfaction and reward.
Vending machine love Diet Dr. Cola. Wow, that was epic! An instant classic. And to think that another classic show, The Meat Rangers, will air a new episode of its own in only a few minutes' time. Better change the channel. And, next up, The Meat Rangers face the planet of the robotic jungle. But first, a word from some of our sponsors. Hello, members of this town! Would you like to go to space just like the Meat Rangers? Ooh, yes! Well, you can't. But we're offering the next best thing, a space simulation. Wow, a simulation. I've always wanted to do a simulation. What's a simulation? You see, we need to learn the effects of outer space for our next high-tech space-age suits and vehicles before we actually send astronauts out to the stars, so we need volunteers to test them in a carefully controlled environment. We will replicate the conditions of space as realistically as possible. Call the number on the screen if you're interested in learning what it's like to be in space, just like the Meat Rangers, coming up right now. Wow, I need to call that number, but I need to watch the Meat Rangers first. But I need to call that number, and I can't wait. I'll just record this episode for later. Hello, how can I help you? Dr. Daddy? Indeed, it is I. What can I do for you? I saw your number on my TV. They say you're doing some space thing. Oh, you mean the simulation? Yes, my laboratory has been selected as the location in which the supplies used by this town's next astronauts will be tested. Would you like to take part in the procedure? Yeah, me and John I. Johnson will be there in no time. What do you want me for this time, Clown Man? John I. Johnson, how would you like to pretend to go to space? Not a lot, to be honest. Well, how would you like it if we did it in Dr. Daddy's laboratory with high-tech stuff to make it feel real? Yeah, still not interested. Sorry, Johnny Johnson, but we're going in just a few minutes. Space, here we come! Look, I'm happy you included me, but I'd honestly rather just stay home and watch The Evil Darkness. Well, I'm afraid I already signed you up. You what? Oh well, what's done is done. I guess I'll at least get a bit of money out of this. That's the spirit, Johnny Johnson! Off to space we go! Greetings, Mr. Clownman. Salutations, Mr. Johnson. I await the beginning of our simulation with much exhilaration. So, out of curiosity, how much money are we getting? Alas, the budget required for a project of this scale was grossly underestimated by our investors. Thus, I am not in possession of an excess of funds, so I regret to inform you that I should be unable to provide you with monetary compensation. I should think that the experience itself should be repayment enough, however. I should have known. That's okay, Dr. Daddy. Oh, and I almost forgot to ask you, can I bring my portable, battery-powered microwave into the simulation? I never can predict when I'll get in the mood to cook something. I fail to see why you would desire that device's presence, but I suppose it won't do any harm, so I can offer no objections. No, unless you have any palpable concerns, it's time that we clothe ourselves in our astronaut uniforms. Yes! I'm gonna be an astronaut! Well, sort of, anyway. And now, the pièce de résistance, the helmet. We have to wear oxygen tanks? Does that mean there won't be any air in the simulation? Are you sure this will be safe, Dr. Daddy? Do not agonize yourself, Mr. Johnson. There is indeed sufficient air in the simulation room, but in order to ensure that the experience is as authentic as possible, we shall employ these canisters instead of breathing the air into the room. Now, are you both prepared? I can't wait! I guess I'm about as ready as I'll ever be. Splendid. Let us enter. This is our means of transportation for the duration of the simulation. Wow, cool. Ah! What's happening to me? The conditions in this room are quite accurately comparable to those of our planet's moon. Thus, the gravity here is considerably weaker than that which you would normally encounter. Wow, that was fun. I'm gonna do it again. Whee! I'm elated to observe your immense excitement, but I'm afraid that we do not have an adequate amount of time set aside to engage in such pleasantries. Come on, Dr. Daddy, he's clearly having a lot of fun. Oh, very well, Clownman. If you so desire, I shall let you stay in this room and continue your immature exhibitions while Mr. Johnson and I proceed. Don't put an excess of pressure on the oxygen canister, though, because the gas has a tendency to explode if an excess of force is exerted on it. Oh, and it is imperative that the door remains ajar. Because of the lack of funds, I was only able to afford the installation of a lock on the outside. What are you saying, Dr. Daddy? If that door was to close, then we would be locked in here. What? Don't worry, Dr. Daddy, I'd rather go along with you all than stay here by myself. After all, what's the point in experiencing the wonders of space if you can't do so with others? Splendid. In that case, let us proceed. You're sure that there's no way the door will close, right? I have calculated that there is a 99.999998% chance that the door will remain open for the duration of the simulation. That's good enough for me. No offense, Dr. Daddy, but this thing's kinda slow. You are correct, Mr. Johnson. Due to the excess of profound craters and crevices on the moon, it is generally agreed that the amount of danger is decreased significantly for astronauts when the velocity of the rovers is relatively moderate. Well, it seems like there isn't much danger here, so are you sure there isn't a way to make this thing go faster? Why, that works as a perfect segue into our next objective. I shall stop the rover and explain. You see, Mr. Johnson, for a variety of complex reasons that I must admit neither of you would likely understand, the rover will go faster if liquid magnesium is added to the fuel supply. Now, by sheer coincidence, the floor of this area is composed almost entirely of solid magnesium. Our next task is to test out this rover's lunar mining equipment, and we shall do this by attempting to harvest a quantity of the magnesium. Wow, a drill! Can I work it? Please, please, please? Clownman, it's probably best to let someone who actually knows what they're doing. Why, certainly, Clownman. Just press the red button on the device to activate the drill. Yay! That was so much fun. Thanks, Dr. Daddy. I just hope I never have to hear that awful drill sound again. I appreciate your assistance in these tests, but I believe it is now time for the simulation to end. Aw, man. Thank goodness. It seems that all of the equipment we tested is satisfactory, so... Great Scott! The door's closed. We're trapped in here. Dr. Daddy, I thought you said that was practically impossible. Alas, Mr. Johnson, I merely proclaim that it is very unlikely, and there is a possibility of very unlikely events occasionally occurring. Well, at least we can still have fun. Whee! Dr. Daddy, how are we ever gonna get out of here? We shall. I must admit that I am unsure. Oops, I almost hit the canister. That's the solution. We can introduce an excess of pressure to the oxygen canister placed near the door, causing said door to explode. Okay, but how can we increase the pressure in the first place? Unless, what if we strap a canister to the front of the rover and send it towards the door? When it hits, the pressure should increase enough to cause an explosion. Your theory might initially seem sound, but the rover travels far too slowly to build up an adequate amount of pressure in the crash. Then we can mix the magnesium that we mined with the fuel. Shouldn't that increase the speed? I'm afraid that isn't a viable solution. The rover would only increase its speed if we mix liquid magnesium with the fuel. We only have solid magnesium, and there's no way to heat it to its melting point. What about my microwave? It can get so hot that I once accidentally melted a piece of bread in there. I don't think that's possible. I suppose that utilizing a microwave would be a worthwhile attempt. Very well, we shall heat up the magnesium in it. On now, the moment of veracity! It worked! It worked! Ah! That's a lot of fun, isn't it, John L. Johnson? You have a strange sense of fun, Clownman. My immense gratitude extends to both of you. It was our pleasure, Dr. Daddy, wasn't it, Johnny Johnson? I'm just glad we got out of there. Me too, but it was all worth it in the end since we got to test the space equipment. Agreed, Mr. Clownman. I shall be elated to tell my peers that the equipment will indeed be adequate. And I am elated to inform the people of this town that our space program shall continue as planned. Our equipment has been confirmed to serve its intended purposes. Woo! I give special thanks to Johnny Johnson and Chef Clownman for volunteering as my test subjects. Without their assistance, I shudder to imagine the ambiguity with which the future of our space program would be shrouded in. Yeah! That's us, Johnny Johnson! Shut up, Clownman! Moreover, in an unprecedented turn of events, our investors possess the generosity to increase the funds to more appropriately match our needs. Consequently, we now have a few $100s to spare. Maybe we can get paid after all. Any proposals for what may be done with our funds? Let's have a pizza party! Any other ideas? Very well then, a pizza party it is. Well, I guess a slice of pizza is better than nothing. Can I have your crust?